accomplishments. It is now my pleasure to invite the Premier of Ontario to join us. Doug Ford is the Premier of Ontario. He was also elected as the MPP for Etobicoke North in 2018. Previously, he served as Toronto City Councillor from 2010 to 2014 and was Vice Chair of the Budget Committee, where he delivered hundreds of millions of dollars in savings for taxpayers. While on City Council, Ford served on the board of Build Toronto and was a director of the Canadian National Exhibition. He also served on the Civic Appointments Committee and the Government Management Committee at Council. A dedicated community leader, successful businessman with Deco labels, and passionate advocate for the people, Doug's commitment to public service runs in the family. 3 generations of Fords have served the people of Ontario in elected office. Doug is a lifelong resident of the community of Etobicoke and lives there with his wife, Carla, and 4 daughters. His commitment to public service includes over 20 years of dedicated work with the Toronto West Rotary Club and serving as a proud member of the Royal Canadian Legion. Please welcome me in joining the Premier. And please join me in welcoming the Premier.
Oh boy, well, thank you so much, Morgan, for that introduction, and everyone at the RNAO. I also, before I start, I want to thank Nancy. I got on and I heard Nancy's retiring, the CFO, and I'll tell you, Morgan and Doris, I always say the most important people are the people that take care of the money. So that's fantastic. And
Premier, she did a fantastic job.
Oh boy!
Now you may want to hire her. She's retiring.
Well, we wish her all the very best. And Morgan, I got to tell my team to update the introduction, because I do have 4 beautiful daughters and my wife, and but 3 of them they're all getting married. So I have 1 left in the house. So Doris, could you find me a part-time job, because I have 3 weddings in the next year. And
Premier, I have a wedding planner. Her name is PG. She was my executive assistant. She can do your whole planning. She's fantastic. We have every answer you want, Premier.
Oh boy! Well, thank you so much again, Morgan, for that introduction and for all the work you've done for the RNAO. And I'd also like to thank, of course, my good friend Doris, and as well, President-elect Dr. Claudette Holloway, and everyone at the RNAO for having me here today. I really appreciate it. And it's a real honor and a privilege to be able to thank Ontario's nurses for the dedication and commitment you demonstrate each and every single day. And never more so than during the pandemic, when you carried a heavy burden and showed why Ontario's nurses are truly the finest amongst us. And I'll tell you, you are everyone's champion. I think they told me a while ago, don't say hero, but you're champions and just true leaders, and everyone appreciates you. And I had the good fortune, while I was traveling around the province during the election, I had the good fortune of going into hospitals and thanking the nurses face to face. But beyond giving thanks, our government also understands that nurses need reinforcements all over this province, and we must get more nurses into the system as soon as possible and right away. We're continuing to recruit nurses trained in other jurisdictions and to have the credentials recognized in Ontario as soon as possible. This makes it easier for foreign credentialed health workers to begin practicing right here in Ontario by reducing the barriers so that internationally trained healthcare workers can start work as soon as possible. And at the same time, we remain laser focused on increasing our homegrown pool of nurses. Just to give you a few stats here, we've invested over $142 million to launch the new Learn and Stay grant for up to 1,500 nurses that graduate each and every year to receive full tuition reimbursement for committing to practice for 2 years in underserved communities. And I'll tell you, when you travel around the province, and number one, before I was elected, people don't realize how large this province is. It's massive. You can get down to Florida driving quicker than you can get up to Kenora. And when I went into these towns all over the province, the number one issue is they need nurses and they need doctors in these rural, remote towns. And I know it's difficult, but we're going to do our very best to make sure that we fulfill the nursing positions and doctor positions all across the province, as well as our enhanced extern program launched last year with $180 million in funding, has brought nursing students to work as caregivers in 56 Ontario hospitals that were experiencing staffing issues, and we see that across the province. Taken all together, our government's programs are expected to add over 5,000 new and upskilled nurses to the healthcare system over the next 5 years. But we know that nurses are capable of doing so much, and that's critical to further empower our nurses to deliver care to the utmost of their ability. And that's why we're consulting with regulatory bodies so that nurses will be able to prescribe certain medications to their patients, in addition to expanding their scope of practice even further. We also provided $11 million in funding for a nursing education initiative, partnering with the RNAO to support continuing nursing education through grants and fellowships, with more than 8,000, these are big numbers, more than 8,500 grants having been awarded so far. And I know that the nurses of Ontario are trusting our government to work in partnership with you going forward. And as Premier, I want you to know, and I want to assure you that we will. You deserve nothing less. We'll always get it done for our nurses, and together we'll continue to keep building Ontario's world-class health system. You'll always have a true partner in myself and our government. And I know there's lots of issues. We're going to sit down, we're going to discuss them, we're going to get them resolved, because I think the world of you. I think the world of Doris. The day I met Doris, we just connected. I don't know what it was, but we connected. I appreciate it. And there's no one that can stay on top of me more than Doris. Trust me. Like she'll be calling. I woke up, I didn't even wake up. I was leaving my office at midnight. Who was texting me but Doris? So God bless you, Doris. I appreciate your dedication, your work, and everyone at the RNAO. So thank you, folks, and God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you very much, Premier. And I think that my husband will concur with you that you put up also with Doris more than anybody else, probably. But you also got a letter. I just became aware yesterday, Premier, of Ted Arnott, your own MPP, Ted Arnott, that also wants you to fix the nursing crisis. So I am gathering all of them, and I know we have you with us, and you will connect with us to deliver forward to bring us out of the nursing crisis.
And Natalia, Natalia, your favorite person of mine, too. So.
Well, Tanya, Natalia, we want you to put her as minister somewhere, Premier. You did get that text.
She's great.
If not, I can send it again. But yes, I mean, Natalia should be, maybe she should put her in Minister of Health, and then we will fix everything, Premier. Because in some things, she's on the page with RNAO. So, Premier, I want to tell you that in addition to working on the issue of RN prescribing, which is long overdue, because that story we heard even from your predecessor, Premier McGuinty was already telling us. So we want you to deliver on that, and we will work with that because we'll serve so many communities, Premier. We also want to hear soon about who is our new chief nurse officer in government, because yes, I heard some good news that position will be elevated to, should I say, associate deputy. I hope we are pushing for that. And Premier, the area where I know we will deliver very fast is long-term care. Long-term care, you have put the resources. We need to move with the many other initiatives of skill mix and of evidence embedded in practice and with leadership and that sector. We can never forget what happened, and we will keep working with you. And we will keep working with you on one that we may have more discussions, which is the opioids crisis. You know, Premier, everybody talks about the pandemic. And yes, the pandemic is a horrific crisis of 2.5 years that this world went over. But the opioid crisis, not only in Ontario, BC, everywhere in the world, it is a hidden crisis that I know that in your heart, you will help us to again make Ontario to be on the map. So we look forward to working with you. You have a partner on RNAO. You have almost 50,000 nurses ready to pull their sleeves and continue to serve Ontarians. And we need to know that you will improve the conditions for nurses. Hopefully, Bill 124, you can say soon that will be gone. And hopefully all the other issues that I know we will work together. So we know this is your first appearance. It sends a very, very strong message to nursing. I don't want you to go away without knowing that. We know that you made an exception. We appreciate that exception. We value that exception because it sends a true message to the nursing community that we are partnering to move forward this province to higher and higher and higher strength together in partnership with you and with all the other colleagues and MPPs. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Doris. I really appreciate it. And you have so many close allies, like myself, Natalia, Dr. Zahn, the deputy minister, is just a champion for the nurses, and don't forget Michelle DeManuel.
I never forget Michelle DeManuel, Premier. You can ask her. She's my right hand.
Yeah, so you have all the top people all on your side. So we look forward to a great relationship as you and I have always had. And thank you again. God bless you, and just enjoy the weekend. I have a couple thousand messages I still got to get caught up to, so I'm gonna return everyone's calls. But thank you, everyone. I really appreciate everything you do. I truly do.
Thank you, Premier, to you and your family. You also deserve a bit of a rest. You deserve a bit of a rest too. We know you work very hard also. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It is now time for me to report on the work of the Executive Committee, which comprises the President, President-elect, and CEO.